With the roster swelling and new talent up and coming in a very, very dynamic lightweight division, couple of guys that are really in search of a win, we have Renato Moicano taking on Brad Quake Riddell in an absolutely amazing fight. And if you look at it, you probably think to yourself, hey, we have a striker in Brad Riddell, we have a grappler in Renato Moicano. Then you watch them fight. And it's the complete opposite. I mean, Renato Moicano isn't a knockout artist, but he likes to set up a lot of his grappling with his boxing, and he has really good combinations, really good power. He's been checked.
Great leg kicks.
The chin has been checked a little bit, really good leg kicks, but for Moicano, it is that grappling, and even if you look into his fight against Fiziev, you go into it, and the commentary, why is he deciding to trade? He had tons of success until he got caught by the body punch. It was a left hook to the body, right hook, left hook, and then it just dropped him like a sack of potatoes. But for Moicano, he was winning all of that fight until that one moment Fiziev ends up getting a ginormous win there. And if you do consider it, Matt, this is the craziest part. This is my X factor in this fight. George Hickman is in the corner of Fiziev. There was that Tiger Muay Thai connection. For Brad Riddell, he's training at a Bang Tao Muay Thai was where his camp was for this one. I know I have it at City Kickboxing because Hooker, Adesanya, Eugene Behrman's going to be there, and Ulberg. But George Hickman has been the main training partner and a main guy of Brad Riddell's corner. And if you go into Riddell and Brendan Loughnan's Instagram, those two guys are linked inextricably. So Brad Riddell really working a lot of his wrestling, his grappling to get ready for this matchup. You know him as the former head striking coach for the MMAs over at Tiger Muay Thai. And for Brad Riddell in the UFC, fight of the night against Drew Dober, that's a win. Fight of the night against Jamie Mullarkey, that's a win. He fights Magomed Mustafayev. He lands 3 strikes in the first round of that fight. One of them drops him. So that was crazy. He wins a split decision there. But for Brad Riddell, his last 2 times out, takes on Rafael Fiziev, loses by knockout late into that fight, 3rd round. Takes on Jalen Turner. Turner pours the pressure on, gets the fight down to the mat, gets the submission. You look at it for Brad Riddell, it's been a tough go his last 2 times out. How does he rebound? That's really the question here.
Brad Riddell's been hurt in every single one of his UFC fights. That's just fair to say. Like, I know he is a really good striker, and I know he does have the striking credentials, but he does get hit like it's going out of style, and at a certain point, that is a hole that you do have to fix. Now, at 31 years of age, he's not the oldest guy in the lightweight division. This is a division where you get into 35, 36, still have quite a bit of success, but at a certain point, we do need to see you fix some of those holes in your game, and I thought we would see some of those signs against Jalen Turner his last time out, maybe see a less reckless Brad Riddell, and I know some of that chaos is to his benefit in a lot of his fights. It helps him land his own punches. But Jalen Turner teed off on him at range and then immediately right
dropped him. Yeah.
Exactly. So for Riddell, we've seen him get hurt by Mullarkey. We've seen him get hurt in basically all of the fights except for the Mustafayev fight because Magomed's really just in there to wrestle for the most part, especially at this stage of his career, and that's what he did against Riddell. But I just worry about what Riddell's going to do in this fight if his striking isn't doing well because we know how good of a striker he is. We know how powerful of a striker he is. Renato Moicano's outstruck Calvin Kattar in the UFC. He's outstruck Brian Ortega in the UFC, although he did get submitted at the end of that fight. He was outstriking him for large portions of the fight. He has shown the ability to just be a very technical striker and have very good volume levels on his side. Now, like you bring up, he has got his chin checked on multiple occasions throughout the UFC, and he doesn't do well against guys who throw hooks. And I know that's weird how we normally say this once every 6 months and not twice on one card, but Brad Riddell's the type of striker who does give Renato Moicano trouble. It's weird. It's almost like really technical guys against Moicano he can have success with because, like himself, it's reads that he's very used to, I guess, at this stage of his career. So it's nothing he doesn't expect. But the fact that Riddell almost does lead with his head and then throw the hook afterwards, I know normally that's looked at as a huge negative because you get your chin checked when you're leading with it. But if he is able to use some of that delayed time against a guy like Renato Moicano, I think we could see him lay some of those same combinations a guy like Jose Aldo was able to do, go to the body and end up going up to the head. Because for Moicano, that is the weird thing. I think he's going to have the same problem he had at featherweight in this matchup. At featherweight, he was almost too big for the division. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but he has a very high guard with his boxing defense, and it makes his body very open. Brad Riddell can go to the body with his own striking combination, so I think with Riddell, he almost might be like a Julian Rosa. You can knock him out early, but if he gets into the fight a little bit and can get warmed up into the fight, then he becomes a much more difficult ask. And I think if this does become kind of one of those fight of the night style fights, it does start to favor a guy like Brad Riddell. But I just think, okay, if he's having success in the striking, that's great. I definitely favor Moicano with the wrestling, and I definitely favor Moicano with the grappling. I think there's a world where Moicano can have success with his own striking, though, too. And if that's the case, what the hell does Brad Riddell do as a plan B?
Well, and Riddell will wrestle. And we've seen that in the UFC.
Is Moicano the guy, though?
Riddell's weird X factor, the George Hickman, Frank Hickman comp, is the fact that if you look at his UFC fights, Brad Riddell will wrestle in the fights that he wins, and that's the craziest part. He's known as a pure striker, but you look at it, he beats Drew Dober, takes him down 5 times. He takes down Alexis Silva. He takes down Jamie Mullarkey. Now, he did get taken down in those fights as well. But the craziest part for me, Matt, is we talk about Brad Riddell with the reverence. He's only been the favorite in 2 of his UFC fights.
Really?
He's, 4-2 in the UFC?
That's not good guys.
Favorite against Jamie Mullarkey, favorite against Alexis Silva. The other fights, he was the underdog. And for Renato Moicano, with his takedowns, we saw it in Moicano's last time out. 4 days notice, flies from Brazil to the States, fights Dos Anjos, 5-round main event at 160 pounds, and gosh darn it,
he got lit up.
Didn't he win the first round? He got lit up, and there were points in the fight I thought it should have been stopped.
Yeah,
but my God, didn't he rally in that
round?
round?
Of a lion.
And the craziest part is, Moicano was coming off of a really, really nice win over Alexander Hernandez right before that.
He looked awesome.
He beats Hernandez in the striking, with the grappling, and so on and so forth. But Moicano wins that fight and doesn't go back to Florida. He goes home to Brazil for a bit. And then just jumps off the couch and fights RDA. And so I don't look a whole lot into that fight. But for Moicano, what I do consider in this one is what he likes to do. He likes to feint the takedown and throw an uppercut. And I think that's a big thing in this fight. And it's not just an isolated incident. He does that on multiple occasions. He does like to throw the leg kick. He's a straight shot fighter, which could cause Riddell some issues. A guy that leads with his chin. But again, I agree with you. Moicano does struggle with the high tie stance, with a lot of those hooks, and this could be that fight.
I think this is a great fight, though. All over.
We have it on the fight of the night.
It is wild that neither one of these guys rank for how skilled they are as mixed martial artists, and that just shows you how good the 155-pound weight division is. Now, luckily, we have a bit more of a showcase fight further up on the card between Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler, 2 of the best, arguably, ever in the weight class, but I think this is another tremendous fight in the weight class. And for Riddell, I agree. I think there's a lot of ways he can have success. I just think this fight against Moicano is a big ask for a guy who is on a 2-fight losing streak.
You look at the odds in this one, they open at par. Moicano minus 125 as of now. Riddell slight underdog plus 105. We have a look at the Topology votes, Matt. Surprise to us, they are to you. I'm going to say over under 60% Moicano.
I think they're going to be way over, honestly.
976 total votes, 51% Moicano, 38% by decision, 65% by submission for the 49% that are Brad Riddell, 67% by decision, 26% by knockout. So you thought they were going to be over.
I did, yeah.
You made a bit of a read on your pick. I think everybody knows what it is at this point, but I will say, Fight Night Picks fans are Brad Riddell fans. So I know there's going to be a lot of support for him down in the comments.
And again, I laid a game plan where he can win. Go to the body with the combinations early. Make Renato Moicano raise his hands. To quote the great Sam Langford, if you kill the body, the head will die. I don't know why I know that quote because I couldn't sleep last night. So again, for Riddell, if he goes to the body, I think that can take a lot away from Moicano. But the problem is, again, Brad Riddell can have a lot of success in the first round with his striking, I think. I think that's fair. Moicano has really good cardio, though, and really good output to go along with that cardio. So I think this fight gets more difficult for Riddell every minute that passes. I think Moicano's the way better grappler. And the game plan that you had laid out for Jalen Turner leading into Brad Riddell's last fight, I think was very interesting. You said the problem with Brad Riddell is when he gets hurt, he shoots for takedowns, and I agree 100%. If he gets hurt and shoots for a takedown against Renato Moicano, this fight's over. We don't need to have this fight. Like, I should ask Brad Riddell that question before the fight and go, hey, if you get rocked, you're going to take down Renato Moicano with a lazy double leg? And if his answer is yes when I hand him that microphone, we don't need to have the fight because it's over by guillotine.
Remember Renato Moicano when he fought Damir Hadzovic? It was over so quick that Damir got up and he was like, what are we doing? I didn't think we were grappling. Where's the striking? So I like Moicano in the matchup. I know I've kind of shaded it that way as well, but again, the game plan's there for Riddell. Go to the body. Make Moicano come up to the head or raise his guard as you throw the hooks, and then you can rip to the body. Moicano's shown a susceptibility there. I like Moicano with the leg kicks. I like the straight shots. I don't like the durability, But oddly enough, he had durability his last time out off the couch. So both of us going with Renato Moicano, the slight favorite in the matchup. Some great fights in this division on this card. Claudio Puelles is getting his due, and he's taking on Dan Hooker, Riddell's teammate. We also have Michael Chandler taking on Dustin Poirier. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, we always say.
Let's get into it.